Revelation 1808. From the 18th of February 1941. Spiritual distress. Feeling of responsibility. Hard reminders. How irresponsibly people act towards their souls if they close themselves off to right knowledge and reject every help sent to them. Every admonition and warning is in vain. They attach too little importance to their lives and also have no sense of responsibility. And yet God, in His long-suffering and patience, is always trying to educate them to think correctly, but they do not recognize this. And the more stubbornly they close themselves off to His word, the thicker the soul's cover becomes, and it takes very strong shocks for these covers to burst and the soul to become free. The spiritual hardship is far greater than the individual human being is able to recognize. Only rarely is a believer present where several are gathered, and this believer is ridiculed where he should be heard. The divine word rarely enters people's hearts, for the world wants to hear something else. It wants to be entertained in a worldly way. It wants to be distracted and delighted by earthly speeches. It does not want any instructions or references to the death of the body. It only wants to live. That is, to make use of and enjoy earthly life. And the divine words are an obstacle to it. They inhibit the urge for earthly life. They inhibit the rapture of joy and curtail earthly enjoyment. The more limited people are, the more difficult it is to explain divine activity to them, for then they have no understanding for spiritual experience, and now they try to compensate for the lack of understanding with increased desire for the world, for they only feel what is incomprehensible to them as pressure and burden and want to escape this by paying homage to the world all the more. And without their will to recognize the truth, it cannot be offered to them. And if it is offered to them, then they don't understand it because they don't have the will for it, and the desire for God is only weakly developed in them. And therefore God has to send them other admonishers who will silence all desire for worldly pleasures in them. He has to touch them harder because they don't pay attention to the gentle touch, because they don't feel God's nearness when He makes Himself known to them. And so an ever harder lot will be laid upon humanity, and it will have to languish under the pressure and find no compensation in the world and its supposed pleasures. Life will be so difficult to bear that true comfort will only be found with God. In His word, which promises His love and mercy to everyone who turns to Him and abandons the world. Amen.